Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Real Talk.
Hello.
It is May the 29th on
Yes,
Thursday afternoon. Bo, we've got a few updates we want to talk about.
Yeah, that's real
tariffs,
talk.
of course. We're on tariffs. We stay
It's
this
tariff
tariff
Thursday.
update. Yeah, Tariff Thursday. All right, so had an international court overturn the tariffs. Don't know what jurisdiction. It was an international trade court.
So
or
there's
something.
an international trade court here. This is almost getting comic to me.
Yeah,
I mean, who's abiding by this? Like, who is?
Well, obviously Trump is,
and he's making money.
He made an appeal. All right, they overturned it, turned all the tariffs, or basically all of them. He took it to an appeals court. They overturned their judgment, but this is probably headed to the Supreme Court for a final decision on whether or not he used this emergency act properly.
Right.
Okay, that's what it's about. It's not about the tariffs.
No.
It's the emergency act that allows him to put on tariffs. All right, this tariff is basically trade policy. It's what he's using it.
Right.
It's not because of an emergency, but he used the loophole of the emergency. My contention is that for there to be a law made in this country, which a tax would have to go through the process of law, just like our income tax reduction.
Yes.
The big bill has to be approved. Congress has to make law. The president can't speak it into existence.
Right.
So I think all of this stuff rolls back somewhere down the road. Hopefully by then we've got all these trade deals cut with everybody.
But can he demonstrate that there's an emergency? I mean, what was his reasoning for the emergency?
The trade deficit.
Trade deficit. So,
but the emergency used had nothing to do with trade deficits. But he's using that as an economic emergency.
I just don't like paying more for stuff, and we're going to pay more for stuff in the end of this. And I love Trump, but I don't like this. I mean, we've said it before, but really, there's nothing though that's changed since our last update on the tariffs. As far as
you start to see prices go up. Walmart's come out and said we got to go up.
Yeah,
Target.
I went to
all these stores
store the other day, and I bought $75 worth of groceries, and it looked like $25 worth. It felt like just a couple years ago.
I ordered a product today it's a tool that we use for part of a machine. Last time we have to replace it from time to time. 2 years ago when we had to replace it was $210. This time is like $350.
And
okay,
that's just everything.
And
it's starting to do that.
That's the import, and this is the tariffs has caused this to go up more than normal.
On the gas thing, though, I did notice that this week it was lower in certain at the first of the or what was it lower at the higher at the first of the week and lower towards the end of the week.
All right, so it's reversed.
I noticed that.
It's around the 250 range right now.
Yeah, it is, but it's just a strange phenomenon. So get your gas before it goes up on Monday, right, David?
Who knows? Who knows?
We don't know. We're speculating here, but it's real.
The price of crude oil has been steady around that $60 a barrel.
Yeah,
anywhere from 58 to 62 for the last 3 months. I mean, it's just that's what it is.
It don't make sense, really.
It's a local supply demand.
Yeah,
from county to county or city to city or area to area. And honestly, it's you're getting some price. I'm not going to call it gouging, but some gaming. Okay, gouging would be $3 a gallon.
Maybe some collusion. I don't know. It don't even look like collusion.
No, it's
so
rigged.
different.
It's rigged.
Okay.
When I say rigged, one goes up, they all go up, and they all seem to know when it's going to happen.
Yeah.
All right. So, but anyway,
well,
that's another story for another day. But moving from the tariff thing, and we hinted at this earlier in the week when we were talking about some of the things that we were going to talk about today.
Yep.
Talk about the Epstein files. I was anxious to see those after Trump got elected. The first thing he said, the first day we're gonna release all this stuff and the JFK stuff. We won't go into that, but let's talk about the Epstein files.
Mm-hmm.
You've had Pam Bondi come out, and we released a few things that had already been released.
Yes.
And then she says, "Well, we got videotapes of this guy of Epstein with all these children, and we're going to release those, but we can't." And then we can, and then we're going to, and we can't. And then Bongino and Cash Patel of the FBI are sitting there. I think it's Brett Baer or maybe Laura Ingraham was doing the interview. Maybe it was Laura Ingraham, and asked about these, or asked about Epstein. Did he kill himself? Oh, yeah, he killed himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's got to
No,
everybody knows
it,
somebody killed him.
yeah, he was talking if he hadn't already talked, and they probably squashed whatever that is. They're just, this doesn't feel good. I feel like there's too much putting off, and oh no, not yet. They were going to release him, and then they released Bondi released some, and oh, that was already released, by the way. And then they said, well, we don't have them, and then they get them from that. So now they're having to re-go over it again, and they've got to review them. Look, who knows? I don't know. I don't think we will see them in the next
we're not going to
3
see
years.
Them.
Anyway.
We're never going to see the real stuff.
And I think it's because I wish people would just come out, because there's probably, just because you're affiliated with some things doesn't make you a child or whatever. I mean, but in this case,
you're guilty by association.
Yeah, in this case, you will be in our climate, our political cancel culture that's thankfully going away some, but still exists. Just because you're there, no matter what the name is. So, if people could get out and be, get out in front of it, but they're just scared to death that whenever their name's released on there, that it's going. And people are probably dying over this issue right here. And I'd hate to say that, because of names that were on there, but I don't think we're going to see it in a long time.
I think there's probably some people that are guilty. They're so powerful. They've got their thumb on the entire system.
Yeah.
And keeping it silent.
Yeah.
I don't think Trump can overcome it.
No, I think you're right. I think it's bigger than Trump. I think there's more players at stake. And look, they just are not going to have it released. I don't think we'll see it in years. They said, they've released most of the JFK stuff.
They released the stuff that they could.
Right.
And what's the stuff that they can't? It's tied with 3 letters. CIA.
Well, and that's and you said it right there. I mean, that right there is uncharted territory.
I'd say it's also involved in the Epstein too. I'd say that this man was killed by an operative inside his cell, and nobody's going to buck them. They control the world.
No, they usually a target like that, even though they are probably targets in prison, they do come up mysteriously dead. A lot of times this happens, and there's never an answer or where it is or why.
I mean, there's people that die of so-called natural causes that were murdered.
Yeah.
And,
you've seen some of that.
You've seen some of the evidence of that.
There is a lot of scary stuff in this world that can be done. And look, that's why you don't trust the government, and you rely on the Second Amendment to defend yourself, to defend your property, and yourself from bodily harm in a responsible way. I'm all for gun ownership and gun responsibility, because the government's not going to take care of me and you. The government's not going to. The government will help me where it can and when I need it, and that's not in many areas of my life.
They're not going to help.
But whenever I need defense or safety, they'll come and respond very well. Our police will.
We're
talking
about local,
well, anywhere,
But I don't think past local.
It's hard to prevent.
Nah, you ain't going.
You can't prevent crazy.
No,
you can't go out there and just start arresting crazy and stupid.
But in the end, they got their thumb on everything.
They do. They do, and it's scary.
It's our elected people are not in control.
No, and when they say, "Hey, we're going to release them," and now they're reviewing again.
Our whole government in Washington D.C. is bought and paid for by a handful of elites that are globalists.
It's government,
and it's who we are.
Yeah, I guess it's. I don't like
sad.
It. You don't like it, and a lot of people watching us don't like it. But it is
sad.
It is. But I think that we can change. We can, love and show our children the way. The American way, and I think another generation.
You got to maneuver through it.
You do. You
just
have to
stay
be strong.
low and just know who you're dealing with. That's the important thing. Know that they're criminals.
Yeah,
there's criminals at the top of the food chain.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk local real estate, Bo. What are you seeing as far as market? You're out in there. You're doing appraisals. Yeah. What does inventory look like? What does sales prices look like? What does future look like?
Look, I'm seeing that. I had a discussion with a friend today, and I said, I don't know if I can prove it, and maybe I can with some work and analysis, but I feel like we're at a point in the real estate to where there's going to be a change coming soon, and I'm not sure. I know that there probably could use a correction on the price, but I feel like there's more inventory. I've seen a few price decreases lately, especially on new construction. I've seen days on market are, if you want to compare it to the last couple of years, significantly higher. But on our average, they're still low. I mean, things are still moving. By no means is it a dead market, but let's remember we're in where we're coming from was a very, very healthy market and that we've never experienced. So
put your house on the market. We're going to sell it today.
So now, you put it on and you might have 60 days, which is still better than the historic rate, which was 200 days.
Would you agree with this statement? What's selling and what's going to sell is quality for an affordable price.
I would agree with
that. But you got some junk now that's been thrown up in that exuberance that's going to be sitting.
There are areas in the town that haven't been built on.
And you're talking about the city.
I mean, the city. The city.
You're right. You said the town, but you meant
the town, city. This
city, not out in the county, but you're talking about in the city.
This fine land of city we have here in Shelbyville. There are lots that are vacant for whatever reason, have always been vacant, are not really suitable for building, or maybe right on the borderline of being suitable. They're being built on now, and look, they're not moving like they thought that they would.
Let me tell you something, Bo. Let's elaborate on that.
Let's elaborate.
I've lived here my entire life, and you have too. Yeah. Over most of it, right? You were born here.
I'm born. I'm
okay.
All
your parents though were transplants.
Yes.
All right, but you were born here.
Yes.
So you've been here a few years. All right.
A few.
I don't know if it's just me, but I've seen some homes built on some areas that used to be thin air.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't no ground where this house foundation was poured.
Built. Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
I do.
All right. That scares me.
They have created it, and it does scare. It scares everybody. Now there's areas that are close in a commercial district on Cannon Boulevard that were built that way, that were built up from the river and that are existing today and are doing just fine. I have no idea if they'll last till tomorrow or the next day. I think that if somebody does a good job and they take their time, then things are built right. Now, when you hurry and you throw up 5 or 6 at a time, I just think there's too much room for mistakes. I mean, it just as a human.
But Bo, I look at some of this stuff, and you've got houses sitting on this lot, and within a foot or two of the foundation, it just drops straight down. Yeah. I'm not talking about 2 feet. No. I'm talking 10, 12 feet drop.
Well, and
like it's a levee or something.
Yeah, no, they are, and they're building them. For instance, there's an area in town they're building them. You're seeing that increase in the elevation because they're building them out of. They're trying to get them out of the flood zone. They're building them just barely out of the flood zone,
and they're flood zone all around them. Yeah, so they have to make a retention pond.
Yeah.
Oh man,
and that's not good. That's when a market gets slow. When a market goes.
Tamara Price is watching.
How's Tamara doing? Oh well, today. But no, that's what we're getting right now. Is that's what we've seen. And that's what the fruit is bearing now. Is those lots are being
all right as we go forward. You're starting to see prices come down a little bit.
They're still staying pretty stable, to tell you the truth, because there is there's been a lot of movement. This is kind of I guess that's what I'm feeling is there's a lot more days on market, and I feel like that a pause could bring that. I feel like we've got that coming in the near future, but not right now. No, things are still the prices, but we've got. When, like I was saying, we had a 10% decrease, I know, in several homes yesterday. This is something I'm just kind of recently feeling, and I've seen other decreases that are coming along. I do see that coming, but as we are right now, you could probably average or you could probably, if you averaged it, you might see one. If you did the median, it might be up. You know how I like to rely on both, depending on what you're looking at. But I think that. I just don't see how people can afford a house the way it is and afford groceries. And I just think that simple economics is going to catch up.
Man, this inflation is outrunning our paychecks big time.
Yes, there's no doubt about it.
And when you've got, there was a rule of thumb probably 10, 15 years ago that if you were going to buy a house and you wanted to see what it was going to cost you, you could not spend 25% of your income anything over 25% of your income towards your payment and then your mortgage originator or the people financing would say that you're past your limit right there. You can't do that.
Right.
Now you got people going 50% or higher.
Yeah, no,
that's insane.
I think when you remove guidelines and restraints from responsible lending, this is what you're going to end up with. Now, there's some people that might be able to meet those, and that's okay. But no, that
But
right,
50% of your income.
no, that's it's. You think that you'll have money left over? Oh, 50% when it's getting sold to you. But you better start. You better think about that because it's 50%. Your half of your paycheck going to your housing is not ideal, and you the extras will be left off,
Right.
no doubt. Especially with our prices and our consumer products right now.
Another thing too, insurance. Homeowners insurance is going through the roof. I had an insurance agent tell me expect 30 to 50% increase on your next renewal coming in 2025 from 2024, and I just experienced that. Car insurance also is going up. It's going up on everything.
E&O insurance, errors and emission,
everything.
The insurance I have to have for being an appraiser, it has gone up.
Gone up. Everything's going up in the insurance business. You got people lifting deductibles, trying to keep their premiums down, and they're taking on more risks themselves. That's the way the health insurance is. If you have to go get a private insurance policy, like my deductible is like $6,000, and there's some people say, "What?"
Yeah, but
if you got like a deductible is $500 or anything less than $1,000, your insurance is probably worth as much as your salary is. Now, if you got it supplied at work, it's as much as your salary.
Yeah, it is, and especially if you use it. If you don't, then it's going. It's just there.
Well, here's the thing about it. Everybody says, "Oh, I should use it since I've got it." No, if you use it, it's going to go up. You just keep throwing. There's people going to the hospital and to the doctor for nothing.
Nothing. You're right.
Because I got it.
It's abused. They are abusing.
This is about risk management. That's what all this insurance
abuse. I mean, it's awful. I've gone a long time without insurance, and I was amazed at the haggling and the negotiating I could do at the pharmacy, at the doctor. Like I could be like, "No, this MRI. How about 200? Give me 200." I'd start auctioning it off. We'd end up with something. But no, but you can, and that's why, because these insurance, they have things so high, David. I mean, they're so inflated that the market, it's not a real market.
Here, Tamara's coming back talking about the price of stuff. I'm doing the best possible. I go out and talk to people. Folks don't want to admit they're struggling. I feel bad for everyone who is struggling. First time in my career, I really have to think. Buying anything, I have to list everything. I have not seen increase is in utilities, but it's coming, and that's true. I like honey, but I don't like giving $13 for a jar of honey.
Yeah, and I like eggs too, but those
they come down.
They are now. Down. But during that time, I had to make a choice. I had to make a choice.
Why these restaurants still got a sign up saying eggs? The shortage of eggs is causing a surcharge.
It seems to not make it to these restaurants. That the market,
It's just another way to gouge you, man.
They did the same thing with beef, but no.
Don't get me on the rest. Don't get me on fast food again. We're not
going to do that again. Plus, I'm hungry, so I might start liking them.
All right, well, Bo, this real estate stuff, let's keep our eyes on it.
No, we need to, and I think that affects obviously the economy here in Shelbyville, but the development and the planning process, and maybe if things did slow down, it would give the city a time to catch up on some infrastructure that needs to be put in.
All right, so on a personal note, congratulations. Your daughter is now a Golden Eaglet.
She sure is. Thank you very much. She is very excited. She'll be nervous.
Speaking of which, and this is what brings this up, school's out now.
School's out for the summer.
All right, so here's my question. All right, so she starts basketball practice tomorrow, and she's going to be a busy camper throughout vacation, Bo.
Oh, yes.
Do you see families taking vacations like they normally do this coming year?
I have not actually paid attention to it as far as friends. I know I have several that are going, but I don't think predominantly that there will. I think travel will be down. I'm not going on vacation until in the fall, and I know we typically do take one.
You go during the horse show, or
no? We just this year we're going on the fall. We're celebrating my parents' 50th anniversary.
That's a good one.
So we're all going together to
50.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, 50 years, and my wife's mother and dad, they just celebrated their 50th anniversary. So there's a lot of celebration going on.
A lot of 50s. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm seeing a lot of these condos coming down on the Gulf Coast for June, July, and the first part of August till school starts. These rates are through the roof. I think you're seeing a lot of 2 and 3 families getting together and getting 1, 3, or 4 bedroom unit and going in together. And I think what you're going to see is people are skipping out on the eating out.
Yeah, I think that's
that's what we plan on doing. We're not going to eat out as much
Yeah.
because the food is gone through the roof.
Oh, yeah. If you think it's high here, go eat some seafood on the coast.
Yeah.
You know, $200 for 2 or 3 people. It's ridiculous,
Yeah.
but it is so good. I mean, it's hard it's hard to pass up.
And it's
fresh
good,
and
but
it's good. But no, I think that our traveling will be down, no doubt about it. But you know, I and also in Panama City, you know, they told everybody they're telling the young ones to stay away. They're trying to clean up down there
for spring break.
Yeah, but maybe I mean, it gets pretty rough in the summer too.
Nah, not too bad.
Not
Because
too bad.
you got a lot of adults walking around down there. They'll wipe them and
Oh yeah, Florida,
keep them in line. Yeah. You got families down there. I think this spring break stuff. Basically, the Panama City chief of police came out and said, "We're not doing it anymore. Sorry."
I like it.
I do too. It's ridiculous what it's turned into.
Yeah,
but that's another story for another time.
No, spring break.
All right, but we're going to come back and we're going to talk some more first of the week.
Yeah, sure will. We look forward to it.
It's been interesting.
Yes,
we're going to keep our eyes on our tariffs.
We're going tariff talk.
Yeah.
Tariff talk will be back.
Yeah, and we're going to watch it close. But prices are going up.
Yes, they are.
They're happening.
Yep.
But
I'll stay on the lookout for it.
Thanks for watching.
Yep.
And we'll be back again real soon.